So the traditional meridians are one circuit that goes from the lung meridian through all of the meridians, round to liver and back to the lung again, in the order of the Chinese clock. We start the lung meridian, coming down and along the arm to the thumb, the yin meridian of metal, turning over to large intestine, the yang meridian of metal, coming up the front of the shoulder, over the neck, and crossing over the midline to the last point on large intestine. From there we come up to the stomach meridian, the yang of earth, coming down, looping around the jaw, back down the front of the body, and then coming along above the clavicle and down in line with the nipple, and then coming inwards and too soon out from the midline, down the abdomen as far as the pubic bone, coming outwards, and then the stomach comes down the outside just of the quadriceps to the outside of the patella, the kneecap, to the second toe, and then turning to its yin counterpart, the spleen meridian, coming up the inside of the foot into spleen 6, up the medial side of the tibia, and then continuing right up the abdomen, outwards at the ribs, coming up to just below the lung meridian, and then down to the end of the spleen meridian, and then from there we move to the heart meridian. So we're coming up into the armpit, coming into the heart stretch, and coming on the little finger side of the arm to the little finger, and then turning to the outside, so the ulnar side, coming along the back of the arm and round, and then into the shoulder, just at the armpit. We then do a little ziggy zag on the shoulder, and then coming up to underneath the eye, and then to just in front of the tragus on the ear. So that is the yang of primary fire. From there we're moving to the yang of water, which is the bladder meridian, starting at the corner of the eye and then coming over the top of the head into bladder 10 at the back of the head, and then from there down to the top of the back where the bladder meridian splits and comes like a waterfall down back, little zigzag on the sacrum, continuing on down to the back of the knee, down the back of the middle of the calf, and along the outside of the foot to the little toe, and then from there it comes over and into kidney 1, coming up the kidney meridian. So this is the yin of water, making a little loop here, and then coming upwards into the back of the knee and much further back, so quite medial, coming up into the groin, and then upwards half a sun out from the midline, and then coming up into the intercostal spaces, ending at kidney 27. And then from there we're moving into secondary fire, so just to the outside of the breast and the nipple, and then we're coming up into the heart governor or heart protector, along the middle of the arm to the middle finger, and then turning round, coming onto the fourth finger, and coming back on the yang of secondary fire, which is triple heater, middle of the back of the arm, and then coming along the back of the trapezius muscle, up the side of the neck to just below the earlobe, and then close around the ear and ending up at the end of the eyebrow. And then from there, our flow drops down to the gallbladder meridian, just at the outer end of the eye, but into the temple area. From there, it's coming down to the bottom of the 3 points in front of the ear, up into the hairline, and then round the ear as if you had big headphones on, coming round and then zigging over to the point in the middle of the forehead, and then back and into gallbladder 20 at the back of the neck, in that big hollow there, down the middle of the back, the shoulder to gallbladder 21, and then coming around the armpit crease, and then making a zigging zag line down the back to the front of the pelvis and down into the gallbladder 30 point, and then gallbladder coming down the side of the leg, all the way down the side of the leg, and then coming into the fourth toe, and then from there we hop to the yin of wood, which is the liver meridian, coming up from the lateral side of the big toe, the front of the leg, popping into spleen 6, as does the kidney meridian and the spleen meridian, up the front of the tibia, crossing over, and then coming into the medial aspect of the leg, so it's in between spleen and kidney is liver. Coming up into the genital area, and then making a diamond shape and ending up at its bow point here on the rib cage, just below the breast tissue, and then that is one circuit of the whole meridian, the long meridian flow all the way through, and so we would then go back to the lung meridian.